Hello, this video is about Welding Inspection Document and Guide. These are the name of my group. In this video, I will explain about introduction of welding inspection and documents such as PQR, WPS, WPQ, WQR and how to fill these forms or documents, and lastly, I will explain about acceptance standard. Introduction. Welding inspection typically consists of a series of quality control checks carried out by welding inspectors. It ensures welded joints meet required levels of quality and are fit for purpose. A range of welding inspection techniques may be applied depending on factors such as joint configuration, specific defects of interest, material type, or thickness, and whether in shop or site. Product Qualification Record, PQR. Product Qualification Record is another type of document that also refers to welding. However, unlike WPS, the PQR document's purpose is to serve as a checklist or record of compliance regarding the standard requirements of an appropriate welding procedure. The PQR form covers all the welding parameters in the WPS document. In addition, it also includes some observations or other matters regarding welding procedures and specific tests like tensile tests and guided bend tests. It may also show the visual inspection and fillet weld test results. This is the example of PQR form. The code and specification that we use in this form or documents is ASME Section 9, 2017. Another important component of the PQR is the disclosure of relevant information, such as the welder's name and the name of the person who did the inspection, and even the dates with the acknowledgement of the manufacturer or contractor. The PQR is prepared by a qualified or licensed individual and submitted to the people concerned. The inspector will then endorse the company and its product to the industry and market. Welding Procedure Specification, WPS. When structures and pressurized items are fabricated by welding, it is essential that all the welded joints are sound and have suitable properties for their application. Control of welding is by WPS that give detailed written instructions about the welding conditions that must be used to ensure that welded joints have the required properties. The purpose of a WPS: to achieve specific properties, mechanical strength, corrosion resistance, composition. To ensure freedom from defects. To enforce QC procedures. To standardize on method and costs. To control production schedules. To form a record. Application standard or contract requirement. This is the examples of WPS form. The code and specification that we use in this form or documents is ASME Section 9, 2017. The PQR form covers all the welding parameters in the WPS document. WPS further explains the rules and details of the test and how the pieces should be assembled. Simply put, a WPS is like a blueprint for welders to produce the same quality of welded product over and over again. Once a WPQR has been produced, the welding engineer can write qualified WPS for the various production weld joints that need to be made. Welding Performance Qualification, WPQ. The WPQ record indicates the ability of the welder or welding operator to deposit sound weld metal. Each manufacturer or contractor shall maintain a record of the result obtained in welding procedure and welder/operator performance qualifications. As minimum, any welding performance qualification record should indicate the essential variables, the range of qualified variables such as material, pipe diameter, thickness, position, etc. The record also should indicate the result of mechanical or non-destructive testing result. The WPQ requires qualified WPS. Welder that welds WPS coupon is qualified to weld with the WPS. Require only essential variables. Determine the welder's ability to deposit sound weld metal. This is the examples of WPQ form. The WPQ can be qualified by either radiography or ultrasonic testing, alternatively it can also be qualified by mechanical testing. The required number of testing is different from PQR and is less stringent. The WPQ can be qualified by one face bend test and one root bend test. The bend test actually checks the ductility of the weld metal, which is an important factor in the depositing sound weld metal. The list of essential variable for WPQ has been provided in the SME Code Section 9, QW 352 through QW 357. You will find a separate table for each welding process. Welding Qualification Record, WQR. A WQR is intended to serve as an official document to identify the welder's ability to produce welds meeting a prescribed standard. A WQR, like any other official document, must identify who is verifying and attesting to the welder's ability. As defined by Webster's 2 Dictionary, a record is an account officially written and kept as evidence or testimony. It is for this reason that some accountability is needed for attesting to a welder's continued service, without a lapse greater than 6 months, for a given welding process. This is the examples of WQR form. The code and specification that we use in this form or documents is, ASME Section 9, 2017. The PQR form covers all the welding parameters in the WQR document. You can refer the PQR to fill this form. Acceptance standards. Weld imperfections can seriously reduce the integrity of a welded structure. Prior to service of a welded joint, it is necessary to locate them using NDE techniques, assess their significance and take action to avoid their reoccurrence. The acceptance of a certain size and type of defect for a given structure is normally expressed as the defect acceptance standard, usually incorporated in application standards or specifications. All normal weld imperfections acceptance standards totally reject cracks. In exceptional circumstances and subject to the agreement of all parties, cracks may remain if it can be demonstrated beyond doubt that they will not lead to failure. This can be difficult to establish and usually involves fracture mechanics measurements and calculations. Next, It is important to note that the levels of acceptability vary between different applications and in most cases vary between different standards for the same application. Consequently, when inspecting different jobs, it is important to use the applicable standards or specification quoted in the contract. Once unacceptable weld imperfections have been found, they have to be removed. If the weld imperfections is at the surface, the first consideration is whether it is of a type shallow enough to be repaired by superficial dressing. Superficial implies that after removal of the defect the remaining material's thickness is sufficient not to require the addition of further weld metal. If the defect is too deep, it must be removed and new weld metal added to ensure a minimum design throat thickness. Replacing removed metal or weld repair, as in filling an excavation or remaking a weld joint, has to be done in accordance with an approved procedure. The rigor with which this procedure is qualified depends on the application standard for the job. In some cases, it will be acceptance to use a procedure qualified for making new joints, whether filling an excavation or making a complete joint. If the level of reassurance required is higher, the qualification will have to be made using an exact simulation of a welded joint which is excavated and refilled using a specified method. In either case, qualification inspection and testing will be required in accordance with the application standards. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it.